Well, it's a real pleasure to meet you, Mr. Little.
Thank you.
It's been a while that I've been around and you've been around. I've seen many of your shows over the years.
Thank you.
And it's a great pleasure to see your tribute to Jimmy Stewart. That's what I believe it is, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of people thought I would do maybe a tribute to Richard Nixon or perhaps Ronald Reagan. But I chose Jimmy Stewart because I'd spent so much time with him, and they just wonderful stories. And so I took all those stories and what else I'd written about him and put it into a show.
I got the feeling that he must have been one of the most influential celebrities in your life.
Oh, yeah. As far as acting is concerned, when I was a kid going to all those westerns, I mean, you can learn a lot about technique and how to listen, how to react by watching a good actor like Jimmy Stewart. And I did a lot of little theater work when I was a kid, and watching movies and the great film stars, helped a lot. Gave me, it was like going to an acting class.
Well, when did you first actually meet him in person? I know you probably felt like you knew him many years before you met him in person.
Well, I did a Georgie Jessel a roast, and I think you got to be over 50 to remember Georgie Jessel, but he was the Toastmaster at the Friars, and he did these roasts for television, syndicated in black and white. That shows you how long ago these were. Anyway, he roasted or tributed a number of big celebrities, and I did three of them. I did Glenn Ford, and I did Bing Crosby, and I did Jimmy Stewart. And I met Jimmy Stewart, of course, doing the show, and met him backstage, and he loved the routine I did. I did a routine where I was singing as Jimmy, and of course he can't sing. And it was just funny when you hear those high notes. And he told me later, he said, "Rich, that was funny," he said, "but if you could really hear me sing, it would even be funnier."
Was that the first time you had impersonated or done an impression of Jimmy Stewart, or the first time he had seen it in person?
No, that was the first time he saw it in person. Unless he saw me on TV before that, he might have. My first TV show was the Judy Garland show. I did a little Jimmy on that, so he might have seen that. I don't know. I can't remember whether he knew who I was or not, but that was really the first time that he, that we had a connection together. And then over the years that followed, we saw each other all kinds of benefits and television tributes, and then he appeared on my TV show, and then we did the Dean Martin roast together. So, I saw a lot of Jimmy.
You became friends for real then.
We did. Well, we talked a lot,
We learned an awful lot about the life of Jimmy Stewart outside of just his movie making.
Right.
Well, when I was reading about you on the internet, these are things I probably knew, but came back to mind, that you've done voiceovers for stars for movies.
Yep.
In movies where they became ill or even maybe died before the film was done.
Yes, I've done a number of those. I did Peter Sellers as Inspector Clouseau. Yes, Inspector Clouseau the Third. You fool! Cato, not now, Cato. And I did David Niven for a couple of Pink Panther movies, and talked a bit like David Niven, because poor old David had lost his voice. And he had Lou Gehrig's disease, and he ended up not speaking. So I just lip-synced his part. I also did Gene Kelly for a Christmas show once, and did the whole thing lip-syncing for Gene Kelly, because he'd lost his voice totally. And I've done Tony Curtis once for a movie he walked off on. Tony Curtis, I love you, Spartacus, And so I've done a bit of that over the years. years.
Well, that's an incredible talent and gift to be able to do such a thing.
Thank you.
Now, what is the true story about when did you first learn you had this gift?
I started imitating teachers at school when I was a teenager, and it didn't go over too well because the teachers were starting to charge a cover charge and a 3-drink minimum.
Oh, not really. 3 Kool-Aids.
Free Kool-Aid, yes.
Yeah.
Milk, that's what we used to get. I remember as a kid, they used to bring bottles of milk in. At 3 o'clock, we'd all dive for the milk.
It's the story of your first TV appearance.
Well, my very first was on the Jimmy Dean show in New York, a variety show. And then right after that, I did the Judy Garland show, which, I mean, just did more for me than anything I've done because it opened up a whole series of shows for me to do. After I did that, I did Hollywood Palace, I did Ed Sullivan, Glenn Campbell, Carol Burnett, Flip Wilson. I just kept doing variety shows.
Yeah, I remember thinking if you were going to be on the show, it was going to be good.
Thank you.
Well, besides that they're still working and doing very interesting things, a lot of people may not know you're also an artist.
Yeah, I'm always sketching, and I've been doing this since I was about 15. Just charcoal, and I do a lot of the people I imitate. Matter of fact, they've got a book coming out soon called Little by Little, People I Have Known and Been. That's the name of it.
Oh, okay.
And it's full of stories and anecdotes and me imitating people and their reaction. And each person I talk about at the beginning of the chapter, I'll have one of my sketches that I've done of the person.
And well, thank you very much. As I say, it's an honor, it's a privilege to meet you, and thank you for all the great work that you've done and that you keep doing.
Thank you, sweetie.
Okay.